Hey, my name's Jefferson Hall. I had Dr. Harvey for quite a few classes at UCO. Um, but I work at Tinker Air Force Base as an aerospace engineer. I am part of the civil service for the Air Force, so like I actually technically work for the Air Force. But I am coded an aerospace engineer. My degree is in mechanical engineering, but I am coded in aerospace engineer, and so my primary focus at my job is my main focus is maintenance and sustainment. So what we do is companies like GE and Pratt Whitney um, they produce and they manufacture these jet engines, and then the Air Force purchases it from them. And then my job is I work for the Air Force, and my job is to maintain and sustain jet engines. And my particular engine program is the J85. It's on the training aircraft on the T-38 in the Air Force. And I am part of the Cognizant Engineering Authority. So my thing is I go through and I look at part drawings and stuff. And so depending on if we're making a new procurement or we're purchasing more parts, I go in and I mark up drawings of critical features that I think as the engineer are critical. And so I decide whether or not we do like a test on them. So like whenever we get parts, if they are extremely critical for our engine and how we build up and trim our engines, then I will go through and I'll do a test, and we can send them to the lab, we can cut them up, and we can look at the actual microstructure, so we get to use a little bit of material science in there. But then also we'll mark up other things and we'll send it to a quality verification lab so that we actually just look at dimensions. So that's just some of the things I do. But then also I have to troubleshoot. So if I get a call from a mechanic from the field or a shop that we have at one of our other Air Force bases, and they have a problem, they'll send me a waiver with an issue that they're having, and then it's my job to go through and look through our technical manuals and infer what I can from our technical manuals and what I learned in school, and write them up a statement of work so it says, hey guys, try this, and I'll literally list out what I want them to do with these engines. They go do it and they get back with me, and we basically just troubleshoot how we can fix these engines and keep these planes flying. Like that is my really top level thing of what I do at my job. And then answer some questions that Dr. Harvey sent. What things would you have done differently in your past as a student now that you are much more knowledgeable about what you are doing? Uh, Honestly, not a whole lot. I kind of like where I got. I ended up getting good grades and all that good stuff, but I probably would have gone out on a few more limbs looking for an internship, because I was always too worried about, oh, I don't know anything, so like they're not going to want to hire somebody that doesn't know anything. Well, the truth is, I didn't know anything about jet engines until I started working for the Air Force. And whenever I got there on my team of engineers, they all said, hey, we know you didn't learn jet engines in school, so like don't worry about it. You will learn and you will get better at it, and then eventually you will feel confident in saying you are an aerospace engineer that works with jet engines. So that was pretty confident. So like always go out on a limb and let them tell you what you don't know. So don't ever think you don't know enough, because people make it a long way not knowing a whole lot. Were all those years of school worth it to be an engineer? Yes, they were. 100%. Definitely worth it. What do you love most about being an engineer? One thing you have to get used to as an engineer, especially from like where I work at in the propulsion directorate in the Air Force, is you have to get used to like having the authority. So like we have program managers, logistics people, then we have equipment specialists, but anything technical, it all falls to the engineer. So like I actually make the last decision on what we do. So like I have people that are 20 and 30 years older than me, but when decisions have to be made and signatures have to sign forms, it falls to me as the final signature, other than maybe my boss. And so you kind of have to get used to that. So that's nice thing about being an engineer, but you don't want to abuse it, because then people will, not treat you the way you want to be treated at work. You want to treat everybody fairly, but you do have to realize in the end you are the ultimate authority making the decision. So there's a lot of gravity that comes with that. So you don't want to take it lightly, but it's also very nice to have, because you're not some kid in a classroom that everybody's telling you what to do. You're actually out there making the decisions, and people are actually having to listen to you because of your title as an engineer. So that is different and refreshing. What do you believe is the most important skill to have when working with other engineers? You just got to be able to talk to them. I mean, a lot of them are shut-ins and introverts, so literally just go out and talk to them. That's about it. Uh, what are some skills that you learned in some upper division classes that you still learn? I still use a little bit of thermodynamics and heat transfer when dealing with stuff because, I mean, that's what a jet engine is. We suck air in, we compress it, we stick fuel in it, we blow it up, basically. So I've actually brushed up on some of my thermo and some of my heat transfer, but then also, like, because I'm in maintenance and sustainment, I have to deal with a lot of structures and a lot of rotating parts. So I actually have to deal with bearings, and I didn't learn a whole lot about bearings in school, but now I'm actually learning a lot more about bearings and like oil analysis because I'm having to actually troubleshoot these engines. And you don't learn a whole lot about the supporting things when in a mechanical system in school. You learn more broad, big picture, and big math. So like that's just kind of one thing. But like I could sit here and talk about this forever, but those are just a few of like the 40 questions that Dr. Harvey sent us. So I mean, my big thing is I would just say go out on a limb, try and find an internship, but just don't let anybody tell you what you don't know until like you force them to tell you what you don't know. And by that I mean, don't assume you don't know enough. Just assume you know enough. Get out there and get an internship, and it'll help you in the long run. And it's 100% worth it to go to engineering schools because my job, yeah, I have to do like technical things, and I actually do look in some of my textbooks at like old things I learned, but it's a lot more fun and it's a lot not easier, but it's a lot more fun than school, and it's not as demanding. Like school, you're just doing math and like stuff like that for like 4 years straight, so like it's well worth it. School should be the hardest part of your engineering career for the most part, not always, but for the most part. And then no, at the Air Force, they did not require me to get a PE because I work for the Air Force and I work for the DoD and I work for the government. Basically, my signature on forms, official like military forms, is backed by the government. So basically, they don't require us to have an FE or a PE because the government is backing our signature, if that makes sense. But so that's just a lot of things. But I actually use a lot of topics. I use thermo, heat transfer, materials, strengths every now and again. And then a lot of it, you just got to be resourceful and go be willing to find stuff. Like that's what a lot of it boils down to, is being really resourceful. But, well, thanks for having me talk, Dr. Harvey. I'm sorry I've been rambling, but go get them, kids.